Okay, welcome back everyone. This short video is all about inertia and Newton's first law of motion. So we're going to be talking a lot about all three of Newton's laws. The first law is very important conceptually, and in class you'll see some demos that help reinforce it. But I want you to go back and think about the Airtable Antics lab that we did, where we talked about Aristotle's view of motion. So he talked about natural and violent motion. And of course, natural motion was things going to their natural place in the universe, like things coming to rest or planets orbiting the sun, or vice versa. Um, so this was pretty much the normal state of things. Well, many centuries later, Galileo came along and he said that the tendency of an object to stay in its initial state of motion well, that's basically what he called inertia. So he started throwing that term around. The tendency of an object to stay in its initial state of motion. And when we say state of motion, we're either talking about something which is already at rest or something which is in motion. So the states of motion, at rest or in motion. That's kind of what that refers to. Okay, well, a little while later, by the way, Newton was born on the same day that Galileo died. It's kind of interesting. Newton said that inertia kind of relates to mass. So the more mass you have, the more inertia you have. And he wrote Newton's first law. Well, he didn't call it after himself. We did later. But he said that basically an object at rest stays at rest an object in motion stays in motion. Should probably write it like this. So an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an outside force. Now there's a reason that we say an outside force, because objects can have internal forces that don't necessarily change their inertia. For example, think about you right now watching this video. There are countless number of forces happening inside of your body, but it's not necessarily moving the entire body itself. It's kind of a cheesy example, but the idea is that the force has to come from outside of the system. And a great example of this is friction. If you roll something down the street, why does it slow down and come to a stop? Aristotle would have said, oh, that's the natural state of things. But we know now that this is the whole idea of the force of friction. It's an outside force that is changing the motion of an object. So this is what we call the law of inertia. And that's pretty much it. So we also call this Newton's first law.